You could have, June 5th meeting minutes.
Yep.
Everybody.
I make a motion to accept.
My second.
You could have, June 5th meeting minutes. Everybody.
I make a motion to accept.
Just press this button down here, all the way down. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That should take care of that.
Did the motion pass? All in favor?
Those in favor?
I think our other person just pulled in. Mr. DeSalskis.
So Mr. DeSalskis, my understanding, bought Steve Will's old lot, one of his lots on Staples Hill. It faces toward the lake, so it's on the downhill side of Staples Hill. He wants to put a driveway down to it from Staples Hill to get to that, which is pretty steep. But apparently Mac has a pseudo driveway or a path, or he said 15 feet wide, so he may have got his tractor in there at some point. And I don't know where Mac's property is relative to Mr. DeSalskis, but he wants to be able to access his lot from Staples Hill, not just from the water road, which is really a private lane.
So the lot's further down on the, from the road, from Staples Hill
I
Road.
think it touches Staples Hill, but it goes down towards the lake.
Oh.
I'm not 100% sure, because I know there was some finagling a couple years ago with, between the Wills, Malcolm Ray and Carolyn Ray over this weird little corner of one lot down there that actually the Demers family said it was theirs. So there was a lot of
Oh, okay.
researching 200 years of deed stuff.
Okay.
You are on the agenda.
Oh, you got cookies.
We gave you 2 chairs. Come on now. Here is your application.
Wait, does he make cookies?
No, his mother-in-law. Oh,
Can't bribe the board.
So this,
I did cookie classes
this
with
is
this
the building permit
That one needs to
application.
go to your daughter.
Kind of just comprehensive, it covers a lot of stuff, so a lot of it won't apply to you.
Okay, so Diane and Tom.
Yes, absolutely. You can,
Oh,
no, you don't have to take that one. I was just. You don't have to take that. I just thought for your daughter. I know she's not eating cookies yet.
Okay, copy first.
Eventually she will.
These are funny because I'm decorating 100 cookies in the next 3 nights for Bible school.
Oh,
Do you have the map and lot number?
Yep, R156A.
We can go down the agenda and give them a minute.
Give that to you if you want it.
Thank you.
Let's run a couple copies.
oh. This one I like.
Before we get into the rest of the business, I have to say, Bradley, did you submit an official letter of resignation?
Yeah.
Or you're not resigning?
Well, I thought my term ended at
term.
the end of the month, so I just figured,
he
if
doesn't.
there were any
have
loose
to.
ends,
You
I
were
didn't
just
have.
trickling.
We really-
I want to say thank you for all of your years of service. I think you've been a tremendous addition to the board.
Mhm.
A
Thank
very
you.
valuable addition.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really, really sad. to see
Oh,
you
I'm
go.
sorry.
Even though I understand all of these, why, and I hope you will be able to come back.
And I want to say it's been a real privilege to serve on the planning board. I've had a lot of fun, going into the details of ordinances and helping. You know, if we needed something typed up or if, you know, looking up statutes, and I really appreciate the work that this body does that is so vital for the town, and yet it doesn't, even though it doesn't always generate the most public interest, it's of the most vital importance, I would say, to set the rules for the town, et cetera, with the town's approval, of course. So I want to thank you for the opportunity, and I still remember that town meeting when both with you and Don came up to me and recruited me to seek appointment to this first, when I was first appointed. So thank you.
We will keep trying to include you.
Well, excellent.
That's right. Next we're going after Betty, man.
Oh, yeah.
Make it a family affair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great credentials.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Excellent credentials.
Yeah.
I love that.
That'd be interesting.
So think about it. So we will, can we continue with a couple other items while we're waiting for this application?
Sure, I think so. Let's,
Our old. I did. I didn't bring. I can pull it up. The cemetery ordinance, we have some feedback from town meeting. It was tabled at town meeting. For 2 items, which I think we could quickly remedy those.
I think it's a wording thing in the one part with the off-road vehicle thing. And what was the other one?
The monuments
Oh,
and
yeah.
the selectmen only, they appoint the sexton for a 1-year term, and we had in there a 3-year term. It's on a year-by-year basis, so we got that needs changed.
Okay. So it is up on the screen. Sorry if you're on the wrong side of the table for this. So I'm wondering why, okay, I guess it doesn't really matter why, when we reviewed this as a group with the select board, nobody commented.
It was a discussion back and forth, 1 or 3, and then, yeah.
But let me- going to, view track changes. So we're gonna change this to 1 year, 1 year term. So this said prohibited activities, the riding of vehicles of any sort, but not limited to. Bicycles, motorcycles, snowmobiles, ATVs shall not be allowed within any town cemetery without permission of the cemetery sexton. The recommended change from the town meeting was it was changed to the riding of recreational vehicles.
Yeah.
And so motorcycles, that is questionable, because I've been up there, people ride their, or riding by on their motorcycle and pull it.
I agree, I think that should come out because people use motorcycles for an everyday.
Yeah,
Wouldn't recreational cover like a dirt bike?
Yeah.
And things
Yeah.
like that, so
Yeah.
you could take the motor, yeah.
Now, and if somebody wanted to come into the cemetery on a bicycle, I don't see why that is a problem.
I don't either.
Personally.
God love you, if you ride that far, yeah.
Do you just not want snowmobiles?
How about if you
and
put,
ATVs?
how about if you put motorized recreational vehicles?
Do any of the snowmobile trails go through any of the cemeteries?
No.
Or on the property of the cemetery?
No. The
Okay.
closest is Meadowview that go in front of it, but that's a road in front of it, they can't get in it, so, no.
So we said picnics. Now I know that we have a family member who passed away in the winter and they had a summertime burial and there may have been food and beverages involved.
Well,
Because
and when we
little
were
celebration.
with the high school kids on Cougar Cares Day, we feed them at the cemetery. We picnic,
So do we just want to eliminate the word picnic?
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a big picnic
I don't think it's a, yeah.
attraction.
Okay. So first place, sports activities, any gathering not in keeping with the purpose and dignity of the cemetery are prohibited. It's a little loosey goosey, but I think it's probably all right. And the other piece was around the monuments. I know when we revised this last year, somebody talked about these elevated memorials, right? And they were talking about memorials that were on these pedestals, because over time, the pedestals collapse.
collapse.
Now,
Hmm.
At the meeting, we were sitting in another meeting the other day, and there was not a lot going on. So we were looking up monuments that sat on different kinds of pedestals. I'm like, so if you have a flat marker and something's sitting on top of that, do we define pedestals? Do we want to know how high a pedestal? Or do we just want to take that piece out altogether?
I would say Mac made the comment of like how tall you can put it.
Right, and we
I was
talked about, it wasn't a height overall thing, because there's some of these obelisks down there.
Yeah.
But it was more a question of these skinny little pedestals and then a big thing on the top that became very tippy. And that wasn't really clearly expressed here.
I say take it out.
That's what I would hope for.
Got the whole section?
Yeah,
At the cost of stones nowadays.
I don't think that many people are gonna be doing that.
Afford that.
All right. Those were the only comments back from town meeting.
Okay.
And Tom and I did get told, we found out the lawyer charged close $1,486 to review
Mhm.
that ordinance.
Well, and I wondered if, I'd like to
That's
see, I'd like to see his bill, because I think part of that might have been because we invited him to a meeting and he had to spend evening hours. And he spent quite a long time going through this, and I'm like, really, this is a simple 3-page ordinance compared to some of ours, others that are 40 pages.
Right.
We don't need a $5,000 legal review. So I think we need to be clear in what we're asking for, but we're not the ones who ask, it's the select board who asks, and I don't believe that their communication.
And I
perhaps as clear as it should be.
think, we've never been told how much it was costing the town when they review these to have any idea, and it
Okay, that one's
it
done.
was a shock.
All right, well, that piece of dark business is done. Oops, so let's take a look at. Need more ordinances, that's a lot different from last time. We don't need to, we can talk about the sewer afterwards, if Mr. Giselskas is ready, we can take a look at his stuff.
I think I got all the right sections.
Thank you.
Would you? get
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, you just-
I have, yeah, oh, maybe, did you get one?
I
You
did,
did,
thank you, we
okay.
did, yes, thank you, okay.
So Staples Hill's on the right of this, you're looking at the 9.38 acres.
Yes, it's primarily on 56. It may cross mine, which is 56A. I have a legal right of way to Matt's property, which is where most of the driveway will be. So I put both on the building application.
So, you're 56,
I have 56A.
you're 56A, okay. Oh. So 56 is Malcolm's?
Yes,
And is
Okay,
the,
so that's, I thought that lot that has the little curvy driveway down by the water, right, where they were parking their camper down there. And then it climbs pretty steeply at the back of that lot. I'm
Very.
told that lot did not go all the way up to Staples Hill.
it is not all the way to Staples Hill, given the legal right of way. I think that's what they had to do to make it not landlocked. When they cut that lot out back in 2019. So I could come straight down into 56A, but the grade is extremely steep, and trying to keep the erosion from going into the lake would be very challenging.
Yeah.
So I think it's a better, more conservative approach to go across and keep the grade as minimal as I can. And let it go across that way. I prefer to go straight down to make the shorter driveway, and most material must work, but it's steep.
So what's the dotted line at the bottom of that drawing?
So that is, the ordinance talks about a settling basin, that's kind of a natural.
No,
settling
that's not
basin.
that one,
Oh.
that's a ditch, yeah, we know that.
Gotcha, that is the road that comes down from,
Bill Grace?
Carolyn and Bill Grace.
Okay.
Yes,
so the part that you have drawn on there would be the driveway? And this is the driveway,
How much of
it's
that,
roughly match.
document, yeah.
how much of that already exists? You said Malcolm already has kind of basically a driveway.
About the middle of the first switchback. So across the top is clear, and then down to that first switchback is clear.
Okay. But it's ending down, oh, this is Staples Hill coming in, so you'd be coming in this way,
Staples Hill on the right, yeah, correct.
So- you would access your property from here?
So it would connect, the new driveway would connect to the old railroad bed. And
Yeah.
then I would come down the old railroad bed to access my property.
So who's lot 58?
Don't they put gates up on that? I mean, isn't the old railroad bed gated? At
Yeah.
times,
It is at the far end with the water district, but I have a legal right of way to Malcolm section of the railroad bed.
which I don't really know where that is, so. That's this side of the blocked part, which is by the.
The railroad bed runs right here.
Right,
Right.
yeah,
So I have a legal right of way to this whole section. The gate's over here somewhere.
okay, so it's,
So it's inside the gate. It's on, the gate wouldn't affect the access.
oh, okay, okay,
58 is Emily's.
Thank you. So There is a gentleman who helped the Lake Association the last few years with their non-point source contamination grants, which is all about preventing runoff in the lake. I believe he is a civil engineer, but I know he can look at things and say, hey, like cross culverts as required, you can say you might need, I don't know.
Yes, it's defined in the ordinance, actually. That section I referenced on there defines,
Yeah.
depending on the grade, how often you do a cross culvert.
Yeah. But you gonna do all that work yourself?
Yeah.
What is another resource, a guy in town with a big tractor? These are things that are good to know.
So like, one question I guess I have.
Yep.
You own 56A. Mr. Ray owns 56.
Correct.
You want to build a driveway on his piece of land.
Correct.
So shouldn't he be
Be
the
here.
one doing this? Or is he like hiring you like to contract out to build it?
We walk it, my deed has a legal right of way to his property, to put in a driveway and power or whatever.
Okay,
Who the applicant to be, I don't know.
okay.
I would think it would be useful to have just a statement from him that
That's
says,
proving
he's
it.
reviewed this with you and signs off on it.
Yeah, we can't give him permission to do something on somebody else's land. The landowner's permission.
I probably should put a copy.
Get him to sign the building permit if that will.
Yeah, and maybe just attach a copy of that right away.
Yeah, it's a undefined, but it's access across the property, I'm just stating so.
Well, when somebody looks back on that later, they want to come to the planning board and go, what the hell were you thinking? So it's just nice
You're putting
to.
a driveway across somebody else's property without there, but yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I walked it with Matt. I don't know.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't want to walk it again, because that sounds pretty.
So he
It
has
is.
no intentions of
It
building
is.
anything on that property? Or doing
No,
anything with it?
Yeah, I asked him where he wanted to put the driveway, and this is where Steve
Okay.
Wills had laid out, so Steve Wills had this property before.
Okay,
And Malcolm and Steve had walked it, and this is where they had talked about.
okay.
I went to the, well,
Go ahead.
I went to the Oxford County Registry of Deeds because I wanted to pull up any reference to any rights of way you might have. So, just so that I'm pulling up the right record here, who would have been the grantor of that?
Grantee was the Wills estate
Okay.
in April of this year, roughly.
And because I put in, and I'm gonna spell the name the way I think it is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Jeselkis?
Jesels, I think you missed an S.
Selskis.
Yep, Jesels.
Oh, okay, that's what I was missing. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, so here, you can pull up the deed right there.
Okay. And the estate with, the name of the person,
Steve Wills.
Wills, and the first name? Steve, okay,
So,
okay.
So how many cross culverts do you think are gonna be required on that stretching?
I think the grade going through there is gonna be about 15% and 15%. I'm gonna try to keep it at 10, because that's what they were gonna want you to shoot for. 10% would be a culvert every about 100 feet. So on that stretch. Talking 5 culverts.
I know that southern basin is, and there's another piece just to the right, on the right-hand side of your lot, right at the grazed line.
Yep,
It's quite a,
that's what a swampy swamp, yes, it is.
and my daughter's dog comes to visit, she loves to swim in that.
The
Black,
mosquitoes,
silty.
mosquitoes really love that. Swamp.
Yes, yes. He said Ruth was on a SEAL training, the dock. And she-
Oh,
It's,
yeah, the way they built the road, that makes it nice, because it does trap all of the runoff on the side away from the lake, and kind of lets it filter in slowly to the lake, so that would work out well.
but there's certainly, I think while the ditching is going on, there's a couple things in that shoreline zoning ordinance about, hay bales or, berm, kind of things to keep any wild constructors going on from running down.
Yep. Yeah, it's a pretty, I don't remember if there was a timeline in that or something else I read, but you couldn't have exposed dirt for very long. Basically, it's as you're working, you're mulching and keeping the hills.
Well, you get one of those tremendously heavy rain days and you're in a mudslide
Yes,
pretty quickly. That's pretty steep back in there. I know they're already concerned about the back of Emily's property. It comes down and then all the way down the hill from Emily. There's a lot of erosion on the back side of all those going down into that. Ditch.
yeah.
Okay, I think I found it. This was conveyed March 13 of this year. Where it says. Meaning to convey approximately 1.5 acres together with the right for the grantees to use in common with others for ingress and egress over the former Portland and Rumford Falls Railroad bed as it passes over the remainder of the property. Now were formerly owned by Malcolm H. Ray and Elizabeth H. Ray, recorded in the Oxford County Registry of Deeds in Book 2838, page 198. Also granting a second right-of-way of sufficient width to allow vehicle access and utilities from Staples Hill Road across said land, now were formerly owned by Malcolm H. Ray and Elizabeth S. Ray, meaning to retain the right of egress and ingress to Malcolm H. Ray, his heirs and assigns across both previously described rights-of-way in common with the grantee. So there are two rights of way that are happening here. One, well, anyway, yeah, so
One
that's
is the
good.
old railroad bed and the other one's just an undefined access up to Staples Hill. And
Okay,
then Malcolm retains the right to use those right of ways as well as myself.
and so as of now, this was contemplating, it seems, this type of a project because there is nothing there at the present time. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the former owner planned to put a driveway in, but. didn't get to it.
Okay.
I suspect people asking to use that access road as well. Because the Grays have had so much problems with ATVs and things eroding their lot that they pretty much close it for
Yeah,
people.
because that was my first stop, because I went and introduced myself to them and asked if they could go in that way, and they said they don't allow anybody in because people spin it up and it washes out before they go down in. And
Yeah, they put a lot of money into that and just had it destroyed by ATVs and.
I know I talked to Paul and his son's wife, and they were trying to find a better way, and I mean, they're on the end that they can come in through the gate pretty easy, but it's a hassle when you get close to the gate. So,
Well, as we said, it hasn't been locked this year because we've had two people, one couple, last year, a couple was camping on our lot, with the first lot in on that road, and I went down there to go swimming, and they had a tent set up and a clothesline, they're setting up their grill, I'm like, who are you, and why are you on my property? They thought they were on Mike's, or Mr. Paul, they thought they were on Paul,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, nope, he's another quarter mile down the road, much prettier spot, like,
wow.
they're like,
So,
can we stay? No, you may not. stay.
yeah, I talked to Sean, he said he wouldn't close the gate at the end of the road anymore, because like, the fire department needs to get into the depot launch, right there by the water treatment building.
Right.
So now the red gate's locked down past your property, they locked that one.
Right, and we all have keys, and if
Yeah.
anybody's got one.
Yep.
Yeah, and this year we had a fire.
I saw that, I came to see, because it said Water's Way, and I'm like, great, I just bought property over there. It didn't say where it was, so I'm sorry if you're lost.
Yeah, I think it was a gentleman from Pinnacle Nursing Home. Decided to have a little campfire in the fire pit on a dry rainy day,
Yeah, it was a very windy day.
on Saturday.
What are the significance of these dots? Are these just measurements for Google Maps to calculate the distances?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was my 5 minute before it came back. And
So the switchback there at the top, is that the steepest part right there?
it is. And at that point, I'm going down over the face, and I haven't been able to turn to go across the face, so I kind of have to break it up a little bit.
So that's Mac's driveway right there.
Correct, it's right across from back there.
Trying to see here, did you indicate? Is this gonna be dirt? Is this gonna be,
Correct.
oh, gravel, okay.
The shoreline zoning specify what that needs to be, like, is it maybe like erosion control mulch? I'm trying to think, there's some ratio, because gravel gets washed out pretty fast.
Yeah,
Heavy rain and you just have rivulets coming down there.
the stuff that they sell down in Livermore at the Aerospace next bit, 4-inch crushed gravel is pretty good stuff. I know someone else mixed in with it. It's as good as you can get with gravel and actual miles. I mean, the rain doesn't seem to bother it much.
I know Bill and Carolyn put quite a bit on theirs land as well, and then. The work that runs through that too, that,
Yeah, they gotta work their run right down the side, that road pretty much, right?
well, it's got a culvert, but it plugged up at one point, something got in the culvert, and then it ran over the road, and then it washed out huge chunks of the road.
Yeah.
It was not good.
I didn't see anything in where it said what size gravel or what material, but, you know, big and rocky is what I'm hoping for to keep it from washing out.
The one thing I'm seeing under definitions that we have in the shoreland zoning is the definition of a driveway. It says 500 feet or less.
From,
The length,
Vehicular access way less than 500 feet in length serving 2 single-family dwellings or 1 to 2-family dwelling or less. So is this technically now not a driveway? Because how long is this?
Over 500.
Like 1,300 feet?
Well,
What ordinance are you at?
I'm in our shoreland zone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
which section is that, Tom? Which section is that?
It's in the definition section,
Oh, okay.
17.
So the section H in the shoreline zoning is roads and driveways, so. The
Let me just check.
rules appear to be the same, I don't know what the definition of a road is in there, but.
so at the top on Staples Hill, when the town plows that, or is there anything at the top that the town has to maintain? As far as the access at the top?
I mean, it's a driveway entrance, the town would just push up a snowbank and. I don't plan on using it in the winter time.
You don't wanna go sledding?
No. I don't wanna
That would
define
be,
it.
make
as
a
a-
great snowy run.
It would be awesome going down to, I don't want to define it as a seasonal driveway, just, for future limitations, but I have no intention of going down there. Especially when there's a stone trail that goes right through. But no, I don't think there'd be any impact to the town crew.
Are you gonna be putting a what now? Never mind.
Yeah, I think I have to come back for another permit for the power, and
Yeah,
at some point maybe, but that's gonna be even harder than the driveway.
right, okay.
Ledge is gonna be my biggest problem going down through there trying to dig, there's so much rock, it's crazy.
I think it needs to be defined as a road, not a
Mhm.
driveway.
Mhm.
Only because of the length of it. It could be a private road. So basically, that's what it would wind up being, like a private drive.
Yep.
Okay.
The name it and everything.
I could,
Right.
depending on how it goes, it might not get a very nice name.
is the purpose just for access to your land? Are you gonna, future plans to build or no?
No, if I was gonna build on this lot, I'd have to be on the extreme upper end side, it's really steep.
Oh, okay,
I'm just wondering, with that definition, if it's 500 feet within the shoreline zoning ordinance, I don't know if I would be, I probably would still be over it. But the entire 1,500 feet is not in the resource protection zone.
Right.
And that's only the first 250 away from the water, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it probably still would be safer to define it as a road.
Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Right ahead.
So I guess I was just looking at this, why is it going to the railroad bed instead of directly to your land if this is supposed to be a driveway?
Cause it's really, really steep going straight down in. So if I go across the hill, I can make the driveway less steep. If I go straight down, that's about a 35% grade.
Yeah, I know when they put their trailer on that lot, we were discussing how it's like cut out, it was like almost vertical. at the
Yeah.
Back of that lot, like straight vertical.
Very-
So the lot that had the trailer on it is the one that you purchased.
Yeah, right now we just have a town platform there.
Perfect. But a year ago,
That'd be kind of fun.
that would be
I've read
great.
mixed reviews on it. We've stayed in a year and it was fun. But
Yeah.
you leave them up a long time, they get kind of moldy inside, they don't breathe real well.
Right.
It's really cool looking.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would count as a structure or a tent. Know where that falls in the.
I think it does say.
Yeah, it may, yeah,
Check out, there's a campground over on, right outside of Dixfield that has teepees.
Oh,
And Girl
Oh, yeah.
Scouts camping there, those are pretty musty inside there.
yeah, oh, I
Like,
bet. I bet.
I'm thinking this may not be good for young people's breathing.
no, not a lot of circulation.
Yeah, I would like to do two things. I think can we give a conditional permit based on, I'd like to have a review by the non-point source runoff expert. His name is, Jeff Burns. I called this tomorrow morning on something else. I can
Okay.
certainly photocopy this and send it over to him and have him comment on it. I'd just like to get his
Yep. I'm interested.
feedback, because he might say, hey,
Some other best practices.
think about this, this, and this, yeah, and he might want to go over, he's been on that road before, but he might want to come to a quick look at it. Even though we don't officially have a code enforcement officer, I'd still like to track down Scott Mills and just run it by him and get his opinion.
And I thought at the town meeting that, I thought we learned from the select the select board that he is volunteering, I'm not volunteering, I'm sorry. That he has agreed to continue helping the town out in the interim, is that true?
I don't think so.
He's retired, but he's very minimally helping out, praying we find someone.
Who is that?
I had to try to
God
email,
knows the
and he
CEO.
was quick to respond by email. I had some dead trees I wanted to take down on the lot and I saw some pictures. and- Yeah. really good that way.
He's a great guy.
The only thing obviously, providing you follow the ordinance for shoreline zoning and things like that. I do think, again, changing it from a driveway to a private road. And I would, something in writing from the owner of a piece of property,
Yeah.
or if he came in and talked to us. Just want to make sure we're not issuing a permit.
Don't let it, that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
That is really steep.
Would you like me to update the permit right now and just have it say road instead of driveway? Yeah.
I did that. I already did.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry.
Excellent.
The length
Or-
requires it to be a road, not a driveway. 250 feet of it is in a resource protected zone.
And if you're defining the length of the driveway in the resource protection zone, it may be more than 250. Because it's
Oh.
250 away from the lake and I'm going diagonal across it, so.
Oh, that's true. Since both your names are on this, I mean, you could. I don't care if you just handwrite piece of paper to attach to it that says,
Okay.
I review this application and I, given the right of way. I support this application or whatever. Then it's fine.
Something indicating, yeah.
Cool.
This may be satisfied already here in the diagram, but I just want to make sure I see here. In the ordinance H1, where it says roads and driveways shall be set back at least 100 feet horizontal distance from the normal high water line of a grade pond classified, it goes on from there.
Yep.
Is that satisfied here?
So I indicated no less than 50 feet based on the second half of the paragraph. Or if no reasonable alternative exists, the road or driveway setback required shall be no less than 50 feet horizontal distance.
Shoreline zone.
Shoreline.
Oh,
Based
okay,
on connecting to the old road then.
oh, okay, thank you.
you putting the driveway all the way up so you can have access either way? Like you're going all the way up to Staples Hill,
Right.
but you want access basically from the riverbed. But are you doing it so that Malcolm can also have access?
Malcolm will use this to get access to his property.
Okay,
So right now, the way I come in is by Diane's property by the water district.
right,
Key to that gate, but I have to cross Paul's lot, Emily's lot, Malcolm's lot to get to mine. And I don't-
so you're planning on getting access from Staples Hill eventually, that's what this is for, with this road, okay, I misunderstood you. Cause I thought you were just trying to get access, what's that,
Not a driveway with this road.
with this road?
Yes, the point is to get access from Staples Hill down to the road bed, so you can access my property.
Okay, cause I misunderstood, I thought you wanted access from the riverbed.
Well, it goes both ways, right? If there's a
Yeah.
road between the railroad bed and Staples Hill, you can go up or down either way.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but he really wants access from Staples Hill,
Access straight from Staples Hill to my property.
Right. gotcha, yeah. Sure, I don't know.
Do you have a motion to provide a conditional permit?
I agree.
Pending feedback from the non-point source expert.
I agree, I'm,
A second, whatever.
I don't know what the town has a permit.
We need to vote, I
Yeah.
think, on
All those in favor? Okay, motion passes.
The town has a fee schedule for building permit. They keep the fee schedule. We don't know exactly what it is.
Okay.
What I could do is, or if you want to take this actual original copy. And get Malcolm to sign something and bring it back,
Yep, I can do that.
or even drop this off tomorrow at the town, bring it back to me, I'll make copies and get it to the town office.
Okay.
And we can.
Thank you.
go from there.
And then I'll check with the town office on the fee schedule.
Yes.
That's like that, and turn that in when I.
Yeah, in fact, if you bring it back with Malcolm's thing, like I'll keep a copy for the planning board and then you can drop that off at the town office and pay them whatever the.
Okay, I'll bring this back to you. Or something, I can do that, okay, I should.
Because it goes into the town office, we may never see it again.
I understand. Okay, you pulled up the deed, would you still like me to back a copy of the deed to illustrate the right of way, or are you satisfied with what you've read?
I think we're
I'm,
set.
I'm
Yeah,
satisfied.
you read it, yeah. Basically what you said.
Yeah. Perfect. Anything else for me?
I think we need, the board should name the road.
Oh.
You can each submit
Right.
So he will, if it's a road, he will have to name it, right?
Yeah, or it just has to be for a private drive or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, is there any ordinances about private roads that I should be aware of?
I don't believe
Rules
so.
that go along with it?
I don't.
My driveway probably counts it.
It might.
Rather than zoning.
It's right.
Only fill in.
Yours should be Canoe Rock.
The new route?
Yeah.
Really looks like a canoe.
I think the only issue with private roads is just, you have to be clear the town is gonna do nothing to maintain it. Right?
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah.
Because people have a private road and they want to turn it over to the town later,
Yeah.
and the town's like,
Yeah, I wouldn't accept that. That'd be great, but
Take the
I'm guessing the
5%.
town group probably wouldn't appreciate that.
"Ooh, that'd be a good road."
It's funny when I explain to people like where I live and they know 108, I tell them, you know where the moon rock is? And they're like, yeah, I'm like, I'm just after that up the hill.
Yeah,
Anybody in the area, I start giving directions, 2 miles from Big Apple, it's on the right, it's up on the hill, it's a big rock. Oh, yeah, I know where the big rock is.
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm,
And I had people that work, I work in that, so I have a picture on my desktop screensaver of looking from the house down towards the rock. And I had a guy come in a couple weeks ago, goes, hey, figured out where you live, I drove by and I saw the rock. Pretty distinctive.
Absolutely.
Cool.
They did a good job cutting those trees out back.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
Yeah.
Hopefully they didn't bother you guys too much while they
Nope.
were over there. They were louder than I expected them to be, but they got it done fast.
Yep. No, they did a good job.
Who came and did it?
Kimball and Sons Logging, they're out of Poland.
Um,
pretty nice operations, really high-end equipment. I don't know how they pay their bills after looking up how much the equipment costs.
Oh, yeah, I
They do a
know.
really nice job.
Yeah,
We had Soper, do a bunch of stuff on our land last
Yeah.
year. They did a great job clearing.
Yeah, it's a big clearing. You guys have a nice view now.
I did.
Yeah.
It's great.
I drove by that the other day. and I was
It
like,
makes me
"Oh,
very
okay." Yeah.
Big discussion in our house about the apple tree that's right in the middle of the backyard.
Mhm.
Whether it should go or not.
Oh, yeah. Like, almost the end of a good marriage.
Did you want it to stay or go?
I'll never tell. It's there now.
It could be gone soon
That's a good
later.
point, it's there, so that whatever she wanted is what.
Yeah. Actually, I was lobbying for take it out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, cool. Well, it's exciting, but we have, and there's a lot of, as you know, there's a lot of foot traffic on that road.
Yes, I've been surprised just when we've been over there cleaning things up, you know, people that walk down through.
Yeah, I mean, right now that's considered, I mean, all the landowners are given permission for walkers
Yep.
on there and.
Can you bike down there?
You're right, your bike, it's a bumpy gravelly,
Perfect.
ugly road.
It's better than going the other way. If you ride out past the potato farm, it's all
Yeah.
soft sand. It's
Yeah.
awful. But
Yeah.
It's nice gravel going down by the lake. It's
Okay.
just short. You
Yeah.
need to go a mile maybe and then you turn around and come back.
Yeah, Chase and I rode the Whitney Brook trails Sunday, that actually wasn't bad,
Oh,
yeah. It was-
On bicycles.
On mountain bikes, yeah.
If you want a good downhill, start at the top of Staples Hill across from where Mac is and come down through. I put in a walking trail. It's got orange blazes. You can't miss it. But if
Okay.
you're into downhill mountain biking, it's
Yeah.
a good ride. It
Where,
comes
where
up
is this?
right across from Mac Race.
Okay. Okay,
I put in a walking trail right now.
you don't mind if we ride out there?
It comes right down where the trailer was parked and right up.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Big ride.
Yeah,
Where you
I don't
want
enjoy
the-
Oh, yeah, we do, we
Okay.
do, yeah.
The mother of me is like, "Oh, it's here."
I was gonna say, if his brakes fail, he goes in the lake.
The places we want, the things
The
we get on
lake
those
is
bikes
probably
as
the best
kids, no
thing,
helmets.
Yeah,
The trees and the rock.
No, I just got both my kids into mountain biking this year, so
Oh, yeah.
I've got 71 miles on the bike just this summer so far, so
Wow,
it's good,
that's a lot, like,
it's fun.
have you guys gone off and over Barren Hill and those trails up that way?
My son he went up all the way up to the tees off and then to the left.
Yeah.
I've just ridden up the hill and back, we will go over to, oh, what's it called? Behind Mountain Valley High School.
Okay,
Can't think of the name, there's a whole trail system out there that you can ride.
Yep.
We've done Titcomb. I've gone down to Kennebunk and did, the Smith Preserve down there, that kicked my butt.
yeah.
It was like 10 miles and yeah, I was done, but it was fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Really fun when you're in shape. Still fun. when you're in shape.
Right? That's where you need the downhill, you look forward to the
Rather
downhill.
than listen to the chairlift, you gotta go back.
Yeah. Cool, but yeah, thank you for the permission on that, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoy it.
Cool.
All right. I don't need to keep you guys. Thank you for squeezing me in. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
I'll get this back to you, Diane.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want to wait one by you.
yes.
All right.
Well, he owns that.
The Tonello solar application. That's what everybody has here. Attached to your meeting minutes from the last meeting is it's like Friday, June 13th.
Yeah.
That was the comments that we had. That was the comments you fed back to him
Mhm.
about adding page numbers, clarify language as inverter, non-inverter. Clarify the number of modules on the strings shown differently in two different parts of the document. Which one is it? Because we want to make sure we're not over capacity.
Yeah.
Clarify the calculation for capacity. The application states certain things are dependent upon upgrades to be completed by CMP. Elaborate what those are. The emergency management plan had not been reviewed by the fire chief and the EMA officer. I did connect those two of them on email last week, and they did review the plan and offer feedback on that. He was working on getting a background noise information, which should now be in the application. We asked you, see the decommissioning plan when it's filed with the state. And we wanted to add the planning board to the pre-commissioning inspection, which is currently, all it had was CEO, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe the emergency manager, that fire chief was part of that. You're supposed to submit an actual application.
I think that's in the beginning portion of what he's said. Yeah, it's right.
There it is.
Mhm.
So we have pieces of that. Can we,
I have a PDF copy of this as well. So
okay,
if you want, I can print that page.
I would, but then I'll attach this to our meeting minutes. So
Okay.
we've got it.
So we need. Page one. Just one.
The feedback from the emergency, the feedback from the fire chief and EMA officer, that was in email form. I mean, we were copying on that or,
It should be in here.
oh. Yeah.
Well, he's got your list of questions right in here.
Sure you don't wanna stay on the board, right?
Oh,
Let me just
well,
check what
yeah.
they did with it.
At least here till the end of the month. Should something arise.
Well, your name will definitely go on the comprehensive plan, and that's.
Oh, wonderful.
With that, comments from.
It's the page 5. Is where your questions? Oh, no,
I'm just looking for the actual emergency management plan,
Oh.
which would be section I.
oh. Section I is.
We didn't number of pages five, I think.
What page is that then?
I'm looking for section. The attachment, looking for I.
We're on part A. Attachment B. You're looking for, which attachment are you looking for?
I,
She's looking for the feedback from the fire chief. Oh,
so this has got, so section I, page 1,
oh, okay.
has the fire and emergency response plan.
Okay.
It lists all these. Skills. And they describe it, they describe the infrastructure. So the Synergy, which is the name of the company that's going to be running it, will convene a site visit with members of the Canton Fire Department to review the key characteristics of the solar facility. There is a shut-off procedure. Tells them who specifically to contact, who the contact is for the Synergy company. They reviewed this plan. I think the big discussion between and they had not actually signed, they signed off on email, they haven't physically signed this. So we could probably get them to just physically do that.
And I know one of the things is access, sometimes these things are fenced in and all that stuff, so.
Yeah, so,
Well, Rob was talking about wanting a road around the whole thing.
well, and I think their comment was that the road is actually on the outside of the fence. So you can get to the whole thing without having to be inside the fence.
Okay.
folks are wondering if they're gonna, like, do the emergency personnel need a key?
I think there's a lockbox with a code and they're gonna give them the code.
Oh,
So they-
okay, good.
A little easier to get.
Oh, yes.
Here does not like the local Wi-Fi, say loading. Let's see. There it is. I see the email. I think the comment was really the biggest. In the comment that the fire department got from the solar place up behind Pinnacle,
Mhm.
they basically told them, if a fire starts on these solar panels, they just let it burn. This guy basically had a different take on that. He's like, we don't always think that little panels burn out, you know, we think
Right.
it's good. The number one thing is turn off the power. And the second thing is to try to contain the fire. I know there was a question about the road. He said the road, you can actually drive all the way around the perimeter. So there should be fire department access outside of the gate, even though they will know how to get inside the gate. So we could have. So he's saying this page has them signing it. Oh. So the solar ordinance was on July 8th of 2024, but. We still need to get those guys to sign that physical page, but.
Okay.
They have given verbal approval in email.
You want the other Wi-Fi? Because I think when you're on. Excuse me.
Connected and secure. Oh. That is the one, right? Canton Public? Yeah.
That's the one for in here, yeah.
Oh, my phone got super hot. Really? Might be time.
Mhm.
I just want to read you what the emergency management officer and what the fire chief had to say on that.
Okay, so it comes from there.
Mhm.
Good idea, where it is.
So on June 16th, Mr. Barrett sent plans to Mr. Vaughn and Mr. Walker. Please find attached the emergency response plan for the proposed yellow. Jason's comment was, is this access road inside of the chain link fence? If so, I would like to see another located just outside the fence. Past conversation with other solar project managers have indicated to me that if the panels themselves are burning, we would do nothing with them. We'd like the road around the outside perimeter to help contain any spread around outside the fence. Response, that's a good question. The road shown on the plan is outside the fence. We don't need the road inside the fence except for the immediate access road to the. We propose to provide training on firefighting procedures. I don't believe letting the panels burn out is necessarily always the best practice. The most important first step is to turn the power off, which is emphasized in the plan. The training would also demonstrate how this is done in the field. Jason says, perfect, thank you. Rob Walker says, I agree the access road should be outside the fence and be year-round access. If Chief Bond has no further issues, I'm good with it as well. So they've both given verbal approval of the plan. If we need them to physically sign this, we can get that to happen.
Okay.
Are there anything else that we specifically asked for. Oh, where's the noise?
Yeah, on page 5, it showed.
Oh, they did copy the lease, but they took all of the last side of it.
I wanted to highlight something that I don't know, I don't want to disrupt the flow of how we're reviewing this.
Nope.
But I just noticed that, so I pulled up LD 1711 that's cited in the cover letter. And, but I wanted to pull up the final version as enacted by the legislature, and it does not look like what it says here, because there was. The final version did not say this about system size. So if one goes to the printed chapter PDF,
What page are you on?
A1, appendix A, I mean attachment A, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
And it talks about system size on this printed chapter PDF. That there are two parts of the law that talk about system size. The first one says the nameplate capacity of a distributed generation resource that may be used for net energy billing must be less than 5 megawatts. Except that if a municipality is the customer participating in net energy billing, the nameplate capacity of a distributed generation resource located in that municipality that may be used for the net energy billing may be 5 megawatts or more, as long as less than 5 megawatts of metered electricity from the resource is used for net energy billing. Then the next reference in the statute says, the nameplate capacity of a distributed generation resource that may be used for net energy billing under this section must be less than 5 megawatts. So I'm just trying to figure out what they want us to do, because
This be used for next energy billing is 1 megawatt.
Well, that's
Right.
the ordinance requires 1 megawatt, correct?
right, but so, and they're under that. So why do they need it says here in the cover letter, it says. The application is for a 996 kilowatt dash AC, 1,368 kilowatt DC solar project. We request a variance to approve the project size such that the project is approved consistent with LD 1711, approved by the Maine legislature and signed into law by the governor on June 26, 2019. A copy of the applicable section of the law is included as attachment A. I'm just wondering what exactly, so let me just plug in the word just to be sure, variance. And that phrase is not found in this statute. So,
Well.
and just a side note, I also looked up, I put on the search engine, on Google search engine, what is net energy billing? Because I didn't know, what does that mean? And that's a program that allows Maine utility customers to receive credits on their electricity bills for the renewable energy they generate, primarily from solar panels. This program helps offset electricity costs and encourages the adoption of renewable energy sources like solar power. That's the AI overview. You have to be careful with that, but I'm just trying to get an overview. Although the MPUC has information on that, but. So in other words, this is supposed to help people
Yeah,
with that are involved in this program, like the customers.
Yep.
And so, but I just was wondering what they want us to do.
Well, I feel like our ordinance says you have to be medium, right?
Yes,
You have to be under 1 megawatt,
right.
because 1 megawatt and greater are considered large. And we only have one, we've already got one. So we're at 900, their application for 996 kilowatts. Are we
Oh,
gonna quibble about rounding up?
this,
that would be under 1 megawatt, right?
Yeah,
Right, but the state law says, this is the maximum, that's not maximum, because.
the maximum nameplate capacity of a distributed generation resource that may be used for net energy billing is 1 megawatt.
This whole thing is under 1 megawatt, so that's okay, right?
Right, I think so, I don't think we ever give them any kind of variance. I think we are consistent with LD, if it says the maximum is 1. And we're under that maximum, I don't know that we have to give them any kind of variance.
And the final enacted one is even more generous. So in other words, I don't even know why we need to help them, you know, I mean, I shouldn't say that way. Give them a variance is what I mean on that, because he mentioned that, but I wasn't sure, but it seems like they should be fine. Unless at times they go over, I don't know what they would need that for.
Yeah, I don't think so, I don't know. So let's. Here. Just.
I wonder if they base it off of DC, not AC.
Well, it's the nameplate.
Right, but I bet their nameplate will say 1368, not 960, not 996.
Nameplate capacity means installed or rated capacity for power generation. Did we, in our definition, in our ordinance, I think we said AC or DC. In our ordinance.
I think I used that phrase correctly, less than 5 megawatts. I think I said that, yeah, okay, but, the nameplate.
Solar project nameplate ratings are typically in DC. So technically, if that is the case, and we limited it to 1 megawatt. And they're asked.
Yeah,
It says
DC
it-
capacity would be over.
It says in here, it could be AC or DC, depending on the type of equipment.
In our ordinance,
No, what I'm reading, what the definition is,
that
usually in DC. For inverters, the nameplate rating is in AC and indicates the capacity to process the power of solar panels. So it means that official power produced rating given the equipment. Only me. This one is,
yeah. All right,
so what are you saying? We have to have it in DC?
so the nameplate on the project. They're typically rated in DC,
DC, yes.
so technically they are over our megawatt. Allowance for the ordinance,
Oh, how do you determine, how do you figure that?
because we limited.
No, what is there, what they're saying, the 900 and whatever megawatts is actually in AC instead of DC?
Yeah, they're saying it's AC.
So
So they're over, okay, I got you.
in DC, that's why they're asking for a variance.
Ooh.
Not, and they're asking for that variance based, and they're using the LD as that, but they're asking for a variance because they're gonna be at 1.3 megawatts instead of 1.
So where's, what is this?
And in
So
our ordinance.
did you just convert it from AC to DC to figure it out?
Yeah,
It's not a-
He put it,
Up here?
he put it right here in this
Oh.
section.
Oh, right, here we go, 1,000, okay, yeah,
so. can we-
okay,
Oh, well, yeah, ordinance says rated nameplate capacity is in DC.
yep, you're right.
Oh, we're
So-
going to do that. Tell them they can't do anything?
They could probably scale it down.
They-
They don't have to get rid of the whole project, but we can't approve them.
We
right
request a
now.
variance to approve the project size such that the project is approved.
So if they
Consistent with LD.
panels,
Approved by
then-
the site.
Be okay.
They would need to reduce the amount of panels that they have.
No. From 1,368 down to 1,000.
Yeah.
That's like 20%.
Yeah.
Roughly.
So technically, that's what, and that's why he's asking for a variance.
He's asking because this size project is approved consistent with LD 1711 approved by the Maine legislature and the governor.
So that's a good question. The towns have the right to. And I, so, I mean, we don't know, I guess we didn't know this was a net energy billing system, because here it says a maximum size of 1 megawatt.
Mhm.
So that's his whole, up to 200 customers, they're like basically getting subscribers to their
Yeah.
solar farm.
A solar energy system.
But my thing is they, on the one hand, if they're concerned about qualifying under the state law, they're tripping up over the way this bill was before its final enactment, but then when it comes to us, that's where they're gonna trip us with us.
Right.
Not
That's
with
what
the
it says, 1
state,
megawatt
but
right there.
he highlights this, but he's giving us like old outdated information. He's not giving us the latest information.
Right, related is even higher, right?
Yeah, which is good for them, I would think, but,
Well.
you know.
So can we have
It's a big one.
a local ordinance that is small, requires a smaller in size than what the state requires?
Or if this preempted us.
Yeah, if it says, hey,
Yes.
5 megawatt is your.
Can we pull up?
I have to read stuff.
No, I wanna pull up the MSRA, because I have a feeling we have. The LD 1711, I have a feeling we have bits and pieces of it and not all of it.
Just hold it up.
Yeah, I will, you want me to, I can send the link to everybody,
Yes, please.
let me do that, okay.
I feel like, he saved the, kind of buried that in there. Like, that's a big thing.
Mhm.
I feel like if we knew it was gonna be conflict, why would you wait until the 11th hour to ask for variance, if you're not worried about it, discuss it?
Hmm.
So here it is up on the wall.
Is this the whole, this is from the website?
Legislature bill, 29 bill text. This is maybe the same,
Scroll down.
this is the same size that what he's got.
Yeah, but I think there's more that we don't
And
have.
I'm sending the link right now to the final published version. Because there could be, like, they can amend the bill, they can. Before final passage.
Kilowatt means 1,000 watts measured in AC.
Kilowatt?
Kilowatt means 1,000 watts measured in alternating current.
Okay, so that might be saving grace also for them. Except,
Nameplate capacity, cell capacity, it doesn't, so here the nameplate capacity doesn't say whether it's AC or DC. I mean, we could certainly say that we are
I was gonna say,
granting them 1,000 megawatts in AC. Or 996 AC
Mhm.
meets our ordinance.
but is that something we can question them of which the Plato say or is?
Well, it says it right here. It has it listed that it's. Useful. If it's DC, it's 1368.
Right.
So will we be granting more than what our ordinance allows?
Yeah, because the ordinance allows. Less than one
You said
one
kilowatt
megawatt.
hour, and the thing here says kilowatt hours are measured in AC. Which is what he's fine with the AC measurement.
now, our ordinance where it says rated nameplate capacity, it says the maximum rated output of electrical power production of the photovoltaic system in watts of direct current DC. And then when we look up what a large scale is, our ordinance says a solar energy system whose physical size based on total airspace projected over the ground is from 6 to 30 acres and or that generates a nameplate capacity from 1 megawatt to 5 megawatts.
That's what the state says.
Well, I mean, in their own. In other words, we say that our rated nameplate capacity is in DC in the way we define it. And then we're talking about the large scale being between 1 megawatt to 5 megawatts. I don't know if that was. Let's say,
See,
maybe
anything
the
over,
town's mistake at one point, but the language right now would seem like we'd have to say. We'd have to adjust down.
Yeah,
the way it reads now, anything over 1 megawatt wouldn't be accepted, because they don't want large.
Yeah, we'd have one large and that's, yeah.
How big is that one up on,
Hmm,
up on the hill?
let's see, that was the.
Yeah, behind the villa.
What was the name of that, Green Lantern or
I
something?
think, yeah.
Let's see if I could pull that one up back in the day.
Can we call Mr. Barrett and have a conversation with him?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Good evening, Stephen. How are you?
Oh, well, how are you?
Good. You're on speaker here with the Canton Planning Board.
Oh, wow. Hello, everyone.
I know. You're in a good company. We are reviewing your application. Thank you for getting all of the copies in the thumb drive here. It's making things a lot easier. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Your cover letter kind of raised the initial, like, oops, kind of question when you're asking
Yeah.
for a variance because of the
Yeah.
whole AC/DC
That's correct, yeah.
conundrum. We're looking both at the LD 1711, whatever that is, and it's, one of the elements there says, a kilowatt. Kilowatt means 1,000 watts measured in alternating current, right? And then it goes on to say nameplate capacity is measured in direct current, right? So we have kind of two different ways of measuring. Our ordinance, I believe, said below 1,000. So what we call the large scale, right, generates a nameplate capacity from 1 megawatt to 5 megawatt, classified it as a large scale. So a medium scale is anything that is nameplate capacity up to, but not including 1 megawatt.
Yes, that's correct.
So, the surface, it looks like, to meet the town's ordinance, you would have to scale down.
Right. That's why we were looking to see if the board would consider what we call the variance to that, because of the consistency with the state policy. So that's what we were checking to see.
Yep, so we have to discuss, I don't believe we're allowed to issue a variance. There's an appeals board that issues a variance, to an ordinance.
Okay.
I think we can discuss if there's another way around that, but I don't know that there is.
Okay.
Would it have to go to the selectmen?
No.
Well, one option would be to say, this passes everything else in compliance and blah, 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 except for this difference in the nameplate. We could say that there was, we were either clear in the ordinance, we could say that there was another issue, blah, 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 or the rate currently would require them to scale down. And that's almost like a 20% drop, I think, isn't it? I mean, if you want,
Yeah.
are you still financially feasible if you went to under 1,000 kilowatt DC?
I mean, it's hard to answer that. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, so we're just trying to, maximize what we can given the ordinance. So, anyway, so yeah, we were trying to kind of match the ordinance, but see if we could, have an approval on the AC side.
So I have one question about, doing the, where is it? the net energy billing. Your nameplate, to do net energy billing, your nameplate needs to be 1 megawatt or less.
That's correct. Yeah, 1 megawatt AC or less.
AC, not DC.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so currently. Our ordinance aside, you guys would
Meet them.
meet that requirement because you're at 996.
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay. But based off of how our ordinance is set, you're over the megawatt limit that we had set as a town
that's correct.
On the-
That's what I
on-
understand.
on the DC side. Okay,
But I would say that, okay, I pulled up LD 1711 in its final enacted form. And put in the phrase system size. And it said in the definition section, it said the nameplate capacity of a distributed generation resource that may be used for net energy billing under this section must be less than 5 megawatts. And then there's also a section here on system size. It says the nameplate capacity of a distributed generation resource that may be used for net energy billing must be less than 5 megawatts, except that if a municipality is the customer participating in net energy billing, the nameplate capacity of a distributed generation resource located in that municipality that may be used for the net energy billing may be 5 megawatts or more, as long as less than 5 megawatts of metered electricity from the resource is used for net energy billing. So I was actually thinking this might be the project saving grace as far as the state goes. Because it seems like the issue that this project is running into is not with the state of Maine, but with our local ordinance, because our local ordinance. On the solar end, the way we had defined the rated nameplate capacity, that section of our ordinance says the maximum rated output of electric power production of a photovoltaic system in watts of direct current. And then when you go to the large scale definition. It's from 1 megawatt to 5 megawatts, and it seems like our ordinance ties us into measuring that based on DC. And so it seems like the issue is not so much with the state of Maine, but it's with the town of Canton for this project, is that right?
Correct.
Mhm.
That's correct. Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. I think our ordinance, because it didn't specify nameplate capacity in AC or DC. Becomes a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah, I guess the main reason why, just for background, the state listed as AC is that the DC can change a lot, so it's not really material, it's based on how the system is designed, but what does matter is what you produce and put into the electricity grid, and so CMP has to guarantee that there's sufficient room on the grid, sufficient capacity to take that power. So they're not really worried about DC, which is again what the system is rated at, and again that can fluctuate depending on what type of equipment you end up using, but they're most concerned about the AC, which is what flows off the site, and once it goes through the inverter, is converted to AC electricity, which is what we all get off of the grid. So that's just some background on why it's usually listed as in an AC form.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think, all right, I just think we just need to, we'll chat about it a little bit more and. Get back to you with anything else. So far, I think everything's looking pretty good. We have a few more things to look at, but we'll get back to you with any additional comments and. We'll let you know shortly. Thank you,
Okay.
thank you, Stephen, for your time.
Thanks, Diane. Thanks, everyone.
All right,
Thank you.
bye-bye. Part of me feels like we had this discussion before. And we said that rated nameplate capacity is in DC, we have that in our ordinance.
Mhm.
But when we talk about small, medium, and large, we don't say rated. Oh, it does say the capacity, remember. It doesn't say.
Yeah.
We had this discussion before, and I think the nameplate capacity, our sizes were supposed to be based on AC. But we didn't say that explicitly. I think that's a fault of the ordinance. Because we had the same thing that said AC is this thing that doesn't change, and that's why we wanted to keep that. For the size dimensions, but the rated. Thing for capacity has it, because that, the industry calls it DC.
Okay, great, in our ordinance, it does say it's rated in DC,
Yeah,
so that's the problem,
so
right?
it's rated in DC, but because.
The state,
For LD. 1711.
yeah,
And it's with CMP doesn't care about DC current, because that's not what they provide,
right,
they provide AC current. And AC current needs to be consistent, so they can take the voltage from the. Solar panels through the inverter and yes, inverter, and invert it to DC voltage. And it has to stay within a certain range in order for it to qualify for LD 1711.
and he qualifies through the state, the only question here is,
He's-
because our ordinance says no more than.
1 megawatt.
1 megabyte in DC.
Yeah.
Should that not have been put in there?
We.
Or should we have put in, as long as they stay within the limits of L 1711 or whatever it is,
No, because we were trying to
keep a
get
minimum.
the sizes and
Yeah.
how many of each one we wanted.
Yeah, just,
So we had to limited it to a wattage, basically. And by putting it to DC, that's what the nameplate's gonna be rated at.
mhm.
The AC could change if you had a different style inverter. But the panels and the nameplate of the panels are in DC.
So what does that mean?
I thought he said it was the other way around. DC is what changes,
DC will change,
right?
because that will change when the sun goes down.
And I could have even said to him, actually, because the state measures the kilowatt in alternating current, even in the old form, he was okay
Yeah.
under that system, which,
Right.
you know, because they were operating under that, so. Even before the amendments were done, they were okay with their project on the state end, but that he's running
So-
into our ordinance. which is-
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like theoretically. Our ordinance that says large scale, which generates we should take out, if we're gonna revise it at some point.
Where's that at?
Nameplate and to say capacity from 1 megawatt to 5 megawatt AC. Same thing,
Hmm.
with size. Take out the word nameplate,
Mhm.
up to not 1 megawatt AC, so to be more consistent. But that's not what it says today, so we have to decide what we want to do.
So
Where are you?
question is.
Mhm.
We. Because of the 1 kilowatt limit. We should have to deny his permit, then it will go to a variance.
Right.
But also there has to be a hearing with the abutting landowners and all that.
Right, that's our next discussion.
Yeah, I'm just trying to the whole AC/DC, yeah, make it simple.
I mean, you can schedule a public hearing. He sends out his notice to a butter, all that happens, that could be happening while they're deciding whether they want to grant this a variance, or whether they.
But who makes that decision, the variance?
The appeals
Appeals
board,
board, which doesn't exist, we gotta find appeals board members, call them, coach them on how to, then train them on.
What I'm saying, do we have people on an appeals board?
no,
No.
not anymore, the last one. It was hard to get anybody,
Well,
Sorry.
we had to draw them for the last one.
yeah,
They did one thing
and that was it.
and they disbanded. We do not have a standing appeals board.
And we have a problem too in our ordinance, not a problem with the ordinance necessarily, but page 3 of it says. Once an application is determined complete and compliant, a public hearing will be held to get public input on the proposed
So it's
project.
not compliant.
So we can't even hold a public hearing
Yeah.
because we would say it's not compliant. But they could appeal, I guess, our determination of that, couldn't they?
So let me ask you a question. In the other solar farm,
Mhm.
they had. I think it was maybe after it was built, remember when they built it, they had that one little corner,
Oh, yes, they came to us.
right, that didn't meet some.
Is it- it was yeah, it was like 3 feet over like the
Yeah.
line of where it needed to be.
Right, and we granted them an allowance for that.
Do we recall if that was before or after this ordinance was passed? I don't, I could search in my emails.
I think it was
Well,
before this.
Yeah,
It was before. 'Cause,
But I think
yeah.
we felt there was a common sense
Mm.
aspect to that.
but how, this is to me would be a bigger variance than what the other one was, that,
So, I mean, and. Per our ordinance, the way we have it written. In theory, we need to, it is not compliant with the ordinance.
Mhm.
So. We can not grant the permit.
Right.
Which then they will then come back to us to try to appeal it. And then try to get an appeals board. To go forward, or we can give them a permit saying, we will allow you to do this, but your DC. Your DC wattage needs to be less than 1,000,
I would say
or 1,000 kilowatts,
we should.
per the ordinance.
we could ask them what
Oh, I
their
see.
preference
So
is.
they would have to
But
scale
then
back.
what basis would you have, should they not downsize it?
If
Where
they
do you
don't
go from
downsize
there?
it, then,
Yeah.
then we don't grant them a permit and they don't put it in at all.
So I say we don't grant them a permit, period, no conditional, and say, you know, then we go through this legal steps and
Yeah.
the select people have to find some. People.
Yeah, I'm,
But the problem is, we don't have an appeals board.
But we can,
the select board can find them.
yes,
They don't have
yes.
to. The one concern that I'm gonna have is that. It's. They need to, the people that are, I don't know, I'm good.
Okay,
You just, the people need to know.
what they're doing, what they're dealing with.
What yes, the technology
Yes.
and what it's about and how it works.
Yeah.
In order to be able
I
to
think
discuss it and say, oh, yeah.
There needs. I remember going to the past appeals hearings. I think there needs to be more training, more knowledge given to them before they work on it. I mean.
That'd be great. I think the Maine Municipal does that training for the Board of Appeals, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, bring into it, that they talk with them and explain out about the solar stuff, so that they have a better grasp.
I think a appeals board also needs to understand where their,
Limitations.
boundaries are or not. They have a lot of leeway, and I know we had a past appeals board who was very legalistic and said things like, well, we don't want to be sued for this decision, I'm like.
So in the scheme of things, 1,368 is still on the smaller side. In reality, because 1,000 AC equals one. If I'm understanding this, would equal,
Based off of, and that's based off of the equipment they're using, yes.
right, would be 1 mega.
Yeah.
Megabyte. So we're saying, so really. Not that we can, because of what we say, but in reality, this is a small unit. This is a small, compared to going up to 6
Yeah,
megawatts.
compared to what you might see in
Yeah,
Leeds
yeah.
or Strong.
I mean,
or
in,
something.
it's not a gigantic thing.
No.
Right.
It's- So. How big is, does anybody know how big the one is up there? Is it bigger than this?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay,
That I
that's
thought
that's the
was
So
one.
did
I
you-
want.
15,000
but but see, that really isn't large.
megawatts?
But that's what the
Or 15
town
megawatts?
people
What was
said,
that?
because we didn't want to be like Leeds or Farmington or like that was the overall opinion people
So-
kept saying. Or Portland or.
Okay,
I think. Based off of our ordinance and the main plate that's gonna wind up being on this solar
we
farm,
have no choice.
we need. I'm gonna make a motion to deny the permit
Mhm.
based off of DC. DC voltage, no, DC. Megawatts is higher than what we have set.
For our
limits
limit.
For this scale, so.
I second that. Now, yeah,
Just,
So in the interim, should we have the select board try to find the appeals people? because you know it's coming back.
Well, let me ask him what he wants. I mean, we can say,
Yeah,
we'll
I mean,
feed it-
it's in
we'll
their
feed it back to
ballpark.
him and say, you have two choices. You can reduce the capacity of your
Yeah.
thing. You can request a change in the ordinance, which may take 6 months to do. You can request a variance from the appeals board, which are required. to be. So he's kind of got three paths.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
for him.
Yeah.
But the ordinance they also, the selectmen have issued a spending freeze and don't want to use the lawyer much, so it can be a. But
Well, I mean, if all we're changing here is clarification of AC or DC in our ordinance, which I think we're unclear in some spots of the ordinance.
then that still has to go out for a vote, right?
Right. That's why I said it could take up
Yeah.
to 6 months to
Oh, yeah.
change the ordinance. Does not require legal review for that. You're not obligated to do a legal review, it's only if you're trying to mitigate some risk. And we're changing 2 letters.
So we don't have to do a legal review,
You're not required to do that.
but that would be better in less time.
So I don't know if we want to vote. I did make a motion.
I second it.
I did.
I,
I
I,
just want to be clear about
I
the
agree.
wording of
I
it
think
as far as,
No,
you
My
know,
motion?
yeah.
Okay. So I motion to deny the permit based off of the nameplate DC megawatt size being over the limit that we set for this size solar farm. Okay. Second.
we all seconded.
Okay,
well, it's like. We have to, I mean, we
Right.
have no choice.
we can't grant the variance. So again, we can email recommendations, you can reduce the size, you can ask for the ordinance to be redone, or you can go to the selectmen for an appeals to try to get a variance.
Do we have something that would spell out the procedure of the Board of Appeals? In other words, we have something on, okay, so they don't have to go right to Superior Court yet.
No,
They
no,
could exhaust their remedies by going through the Board of Appeals.
Yes.
Okay,
Sure you don't want to stay on the board?
Really,
Oh, there you
go. I don't know, would that be a conflict though, since I voted on this?
no, because you're done as
We're
of
done.
June 30th. So am
Oh,
please,
saying.
please, like my 3-year-old grandson, please. He did that to his mother the other day. I said, how do you say no? To a 3-year-old with blue eyes and red hair and says, please. How do you say no? She caved. I said, you can't say no.
oh. No, that was the only question that had been on my mind is whether I could serve having already sat here, you know, but that was the only thing I thought of. Yeah.
But it seems like you want a break.
Well, that's a very rare thing for the,
Yeah,
They don't
Board
sit very
to-
often.
yeah, so that could be a great spot because it wouldn't be very often. It'd be a lot less of your time.
Probably once a year, if that.
Oh, last one was like 3.
I'd be
Yeah, I'm gonna
back
say.
7 years. I'm gonna say once every 5 years at that.
That's not.
And I don't think they hold many
then you could-
sessions before they make their determination.
No, they usually, the last time they met initially, heard kind of both sides of the case, did a little bit of research on their own, came back and made it.
That doesn't sound bad.
Not at all.
So
Here's
this,
what I'm saying, so Tom motion. To deny the application as the nameplate capacity in DC is higher than the current ordinance allows.
right,
Don seconded. Should pass.
And I guess the issues are different too, because the issue is a body that can actually grant a variance. But
Secretary will provide options to the applicant. Follows. Change, the variance. The net variance request. Can you go back to the very end of our ordinance and see
Oh,
what's in
yeah.
there about,
appeals.
Yeah.
So when one gets to the end, it says. When it talks about modifications. After the issuance of a permit, let's see if there's anything even before then.
Usually there's appeals board, type in the word appeals.
Yeah, let's put in appeals on here. Appeal. The word does not exist in the ordinance. So that kind of is an interest, that's why I kind of had that question on due process, meaning. Where do they go, I mean, in the normal course, after they've, because I think I don't think if even all municipalities even have a board of appeals.
I'm just
I
trying to
think
think back.
I think it's required. Maybe you have to have
Let me check that out. Name Board of Appeals.
I
Revised.
think you have to have a planning board, a select board, and a board of appeals. I think those are the three.
Yeah.
It says a municipality may establish a board of appeals under its home rule authority. Unless provided otherwise by charter ordinance, the municipal officers shall appoint the members of the board and determine their compensation. It seems like the town might have already done that by precedence and all that stuff.
So because this particular ordinance does not say that variances are required to go to the appeals board, do they have to?
They might, that's what I'm wondering, if they could just shoot up to the Superior Court, like under the rules.
Right, but this ordinance shall be enforced by the municipal officers or their designee. Designee could be the select board could say, you planning board, we're gonna give you the rights to review and decide this ordinance. Or they could say, we wanna call it appeals board to do it.
So. So we put this in the selectmen's lap.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, that section 12, that says this ordinance shall be enforced by the municipal officers or the designee. Is that meaning like if someone we give them permission to do something and all of a sudden now they're going off, or they didn't even come to us and they just started putting solar panels everywhere? You know what I mean?
No, I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
In other words, the enforcement of this means that we're gonna make sure people comply, or if we've given them permission, that they don't stray from that.
Right, usually, the code enforcement officer would verify that at the end of the day, everything is, they met all the things, their emergency management plan is in place, right, all that stuff is compliant.
Right, right, exactly.
So. Technically, then instead of. Denying it the way that we did, we could deny it based on the fact that it's considered a large array now. Due to the DC voltage. Is it, and they did not, their application fee. Should have been 2,500 and not 500. Because they're over the DC nameplate wattage.
Right. So if you could amend your motion to deny the application as a nameplate capacity is higher than the current ordinance allows. And technically this qualifies as a large.
I would like,
Yeah.
I want to modify. Do we need to vote on that?
I hate to say it, but
Well, yes,
I felt they knew they were over
Oh, they did.
the size that was allowed.
Yeah, that's why they put the variance. They knew,
Yeah.
they knew exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. But they thought because they were within the state of Maine legally, they would get a variance.
Well,
Well,
Can't stubborn.
well, no. You can't do it.
Yeah,
So John, do you still second the revised motion?
Yes,
all those in
Well,
favor.
can you repeat that one more time, so I know?
I'm revising my motion to deny the permit based on the DC plate wattage being a large scale as opposed to a medium scale. And we already have a large scale. impact.
all those in favor. They do good.
Okay, so I will, secretary will provide options to the applicant as follows. One, this will be brought to the select board who may. Or their designee, right, for variance action, they could request an ordinance change, they could. Ordinance change clarification, You could submit a variance request to the appeals board, which does not currently exist. You could reduce the size of the proposed project and resubmit.
Okey-dokey.
Copies of this application stay in the office. So
All of them can say that. All right. Since it is now almost 8 o'clock.
one thing, we only have one time card, but it is the end of the fiscal year. So, yeah. That's all I've got out of our box.
Oh, there's only one time card that. Oh,
Well, since you hang around here and Brad's leaving, it's just Brad fills it out and the rest of
Yes.
us will do them in the next.
Here,
Okay.
come that's right.
thank
So
you.
we need to
Okay.
kind of pull up who, I
Who's
know
when?
I've missed some.
Oh. Let me send you
Yeah,
your attendance.
because I started keeping track of them.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Send planning board meeting. I'll do that tonight for you guys.
Thank you.
Because I know they're gonna be wrapping up year,
Well, then we can just come down to the office and fill it out.
end of year fiscal.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or do you want to, should I stick it back on the,
I take it back on the thing.
you know what, before I do that, I'm gonna throw a copy of it on my desktop.
I'll take a copy for that. Planning board files. Betty, there's these beautiful homemade cookies here. One of these has your name on it.
Yeah, there's two here.
Frosted.
Here.
They're all like, who was eating dinner, eating cookies for dinner.
What's it, Tenello?
Yeah, turn out. So while he's doing that, let me ask another quick question. Our sewer ordinance went out for legal review. They got a preliminary feedback, which we just got this week. There is a whole section of the sewer ordinance that is likely to change, that is around the fees, because
Right.
the town is reviewing their fee structure. In all the other ordinances, as we revised them, we've taken out the fee section altogether and said sewer fees or whatever fees we have, right, will be published on a town fee schedule available. in the
I think
town.
that's a good idea because you never know, you'd have to be changing it all the
Right,
time.
right. So I believe we can take that little piece and just, so that's not necessarily a reason to stop the review.
Right.
I've not even looked at the review that Brian sent over a couple days ago, so I'll have it on the next meeting minutes, that we can start to go through that. I think we need to be cautious as I think we don't need to invite the attorney to come to the meeting and explain it to us. In the past, we've gotten their written copy with all their questions on it.
Right.
And we can pretty much figure out what they're saying, so I think our fees were very high because part of the reason the high fees were because we hadn't come to the meeting.
And it seemed like the lawyer wanted to come, right? So that he almost was encouraging his presence here.
Yes,
Huh.
so.
Hmm.
Hey, traffic.
No, he didn't come physically, he was.
Yeah.
Attorney Jack Conway never had to come.
Yeah.
He just would write it up.
But this is a new lawyer, and they said that the bill for the sewer is only like $500 something.
Yeah, I think, and I said, let's look at what he's got and perhaps just stop the review there. I don't
Yeah.
think we need any additional review.
I think it's just good for us to have a new.
Yes. Well, and I think
Yeah.
we could also suggest to the select board in the future, when ordinances go out for request, we could put with that request a very specific level of review that we want to have. And then not, maybe even a not to exceed number, right? Because some of our ordinances are 2 pages long. We'd only be paying $1,400 to have a 2-page ordinance.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
nothing against attorney fees, they're all justified. They're wonderful.
Oh, no disagreement here with what you're saying.
It was just a major shock when they said that the other night, yeah.
Wow.
I can send you a copy if you need me to.
Yeah, would you just send
To
me,
read. Just wanted to read.
would you just send me a copy? That way I don't have to upload it.
What he gave us, he sent a link,
Oh, you don't have to do it now. You can do it later.
he sent a
I
link.
don't want to, yeah.
Okay.
The link of,
I was just gonna upload it, but if you can just send it, it's easier.
Oh.
Sorry.
Why this-
this time sending link. Or I should,
This.
Oh, this.
This whole thing.
oh, okay,
Oh,
thank you.
He sent us a link to all of this in a web-based file,
Oh, okay.
but we have to
Thinking
just
that
submit
Don
another.
might
copy as well.
benefit more from this hard copy at
Well, I
this
have
point in
one.
time.
But I
You
said,
do too, leave it.
staying in the office.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh,
How old's the baby now?
well, last Saturday, she was 3 months, 2 weeks. So, yeah,
Do you have an up-to-date picture since she,
My phone is dead.
I do, I think.
look at this. since we-
How did she travel? Did you guys fly?
Oh, she traveled very well. We put headphones on her. We gave her something to drink immediately when her eyes opened up with the altitude change, like what's going on? And we stayed calm, but her eyes said a lot of what's going on here.
Yeah.
You know, my pictures, get out.
Let's see if I.
This will come to you guys as a Google Drive link because of
Okay.
the size of it.
Yep,
With her great grandmother in Mississippi. Betty's grandmother.
that. Yeah.
That's what I was
Was your
thinking.
cousin who was here picking berries with us, was she there too?
Sorry.
She's in Florida.
So Brad's cousin, once removed, she's in Florida.
Florida, that's right.
We saw her on this trip.
Okay.
Mm. She looks very happy.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
well fed. That's good. Chubby cheeks. I just-
So I guess that was my last thing is, we will. Next meeting, I'll have an agenda to review the. Initial legal feedback on the sewer ordinance.
Run this in the town box too out there. Once that information comes through.
The, at this point, we're not gonna schedule a public hearing. For this because
We can't.
they're not
Yeah.
compliant.
Wait and see what they wanna do.
Okay, so but we will request to be on the next agenda at the next select board meeting.
We will, is that what you said?
I would,
I didn't know if you said that or. if you
Oh,
will.
to talk about this very issue. Oh,
Yep.
to speak about it. Yeah.
uh,
Ooh, what day would that fall under?
That would be next,
I was
that'd
gonna,
be Thursday, wouldn't it?
no,
I don't think,
I think they're done this month.
I would say they're done because I know Brian's out of state.
That
That would,
met last week on the 19th.
Yes, because I showed it to them.
yeah.
So their next one should be the 10th.
So we would all come to that.
You feel like it?
Yeah, I could
If
show
it's
up.
hot out?
I mean, I can't commit exactly, but if I have time, even though I would, I'd be a member of the public with something to say. Hmm.
I'll send them a note and copy all you guys on. What we've got and why we want to be on the agenda and what the subject matter is, so they're not getting it cold at the meeting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So when's our next meeting then?
Good question, because
Oh,
I don't want to do it on July 3rd.
Yeah. Oh, shut up. I have no input.
I'm tied up on July 3rd.
Oh, you're out too.
Yeah,
Are you gonna be on the select board?
Yes,
Oh,
we're thanking you for your service. We're just kicking. your
no, that's right. They announced it. So this board is really gonna go down in number. They have to have everybody for.
But
yeah.
up in quality.
Oh. We're being, what is it, where they're melting off everybody?
So who's on the board of selectmen now?
I just say that facetiously.
Me, Sean, Christine, Carol, and Brian.
the 11th would be a Thursday.
11th is a
July,
Friday.
it's a Friday.
Am I looking the wrong, wait a minute, where am I at? Oh, I'm way off. Sorry.
That might not be a bad time though.
What am I doing?
Because that'll be right after the select board meeting. That might not be a bad time to do Friday the 11th.
Okay, so the 10th is the select board.
Yes, can you meet us on a Friday? Or you also can't meet somewhere.
I don't know, I don't think we are that weekend.
And then you think the 11th then?
I think so.
It would be 6.
Oh, there was a scheduling issue with the 10.
The 10th is a select board meeting,
Oh,
a Thursday. And this, if we met as a planning board on the 11th, we would already, we had their feedback from the night before.
Yeah.
oh, yes.
Okay. It's the 4th, it's that darn 4th of July holiday.
Yeah.
Messing it.
Okay, so I need to go back.
I'm gonna have 2 9-year-old girls coming to stay with me for 4 days. I'm so excited.
Oh,
I'll send you some of mine.
Well, I'm taking Archie's 2 and the cousin from Arizona who's here, that's 5 of
Oh,
them.
is it Hazel?
Hazel's in town, Gwen and Aurora, and then the 2 are coming are Sophia and, Evely. What's her name?
Everly,
Evely, Evele.
Everly,
No R, no, but. So, that'll be fun. Been a while since I've had a house full of little tiny kids.
I've got 9 grandkids coming for the 4th.
Domain. It's great.
1-year-old to 18 years old.
That's great. So
So-
you've done a lot of traveling, so now they get to travel to see you.
I'll send a note to the town office requesting the use of the meeting room on that Friday for the planning board. And they'll change our.
Do you have to do any runs to Portland to pick them up?
No, they're all driving.
Oh, they're driving.
Do we have any other business on public comment or
No.
agenda
Oops, sorry.
revisions? That's
Sorry,
okay, I'm just-
no. I am submitting my resignation effective June 30th.
Okay.
But I'm not the do.
All those in favor?
See, I wasn't too aware that that was a requirement.
Yes,
Oh,
Well,
because
your
my
term was up.
term's not up.
Yeah, her turn.
oh, you're going to start before it finishes in that
Yes.
sense, okay. It's been a pleasure working with you. Yeah, on all these things.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We second.
All in favor?
How hot out is it?
We adjourn at 8:05.
Right.
Right. Don't think it's 87 out.
Oh,
It better.
that's true.
All right.
Diane, I thought of you yesterday when Trudy and I were at a cooking class.
I saw that. Paper piecing class. I watched probably one of those YouTube videos on paper piecing, and after a while, I'm like, I don't think I have it. I can make my own points. I don't need a paper piecing.
Well, what they sent us was the supplies that we needed. We bought. Then we got there and found we weren't even in the right ballpark with what we needed.
See,
Hold on, I've stopped it. I
I'm
gotta
not
stop
sure
the
if
video.
we pick, I'm not pick, G2 pilot gel pens and.